During the dark night of August 8, 1963, a Royal Mail train was going from Glasgow to London. In a box of this train, there were bags filled with notes, which today amount to about 67 million pounds, or 800 crore rupees. The train's driver, Jack Mills, was driving the engine at high speed in the dark of the night, when suddenly a red light on the signal at a crossing flashed. For the driver, this was an abnormal thing, because the red light at this time and place didn't mean anything. Anyway, the driver, Jack Mills, immediately braked and stopped the train on the deserted road. For a while, there was silence everywhere. But there was a master plan hidden behind this silence, which was going to end the biggest robbery of the century. The Great Train Robbery, in which the train was robbed. Welcome to FNF Stories videos once again. Viewers, this sounds like a movie story, but in real life too, the dacoits planned full of suspense and looted lakhs of pounds from the British government train, and that too without firing a single bullet. It all started a few months ago, when a few well-known London criminals got together to carry out a new operation. Bruce Reynolds, who was the mastermind behind this plan, together with a few of his colleagues, began to make a plan for an unprecedented robbery. He had a secret information about Britain's National Post Service Royal Mail. He got this secret information from a senior security officer of the Royal Mail, whose name no one knew. The information was that there is a special box on the train from Glasgow to London, which is also called high-value packages, or HVP. A lot of money was going to be lost on a special day, and they had to rob this box. Bruce Reynolds and his colleagues were well-known criminals, but they had no experience of robbing trains. So they included another London gang in this plan who also had experience of robbing trains. This notorious gang was known as the South Coast Raiders. Gradually, the team grew, and now more than 15 people joined this plan. They decided to rob the government train without firing a bullet. But this was not an ordinary robbery. To stop the train and rob it. Months of planning were made for this. On 7th August 1963, at 6:50 p.m., the train departs from Glasgow Central Station for London. It had to reach London's Euston Railway Station the next morning at 4 a.m. There were a total of 12 boxes in this train, and 72 post office staff were also present to sort the mails during the journey. This train was mainly used to drop parcels and posts in different cities. Therefore, parcels had to be dropped at different stations without stopping it. Whenever a station arrived, the local post office staff would hang sacks on a special elevated rack. When the train passed through the platform, it would slow down, and the staff inside would catch the sacks with the help of a net. And similarly, the mails that had to be dropped at that station, their sacks were dropped on the platform as they moved. Through this process, the mails were distributed at different stations without stopping. The box in which the robbery was to take place was not yet attached to this train. That box was safely parked at Nain Valley Railway Station. This box was called HVP, i.e. high-value packages, because it contained a large amount of cash that people used to order money in other cities at that time. In 1960, that is 3 years before this incident, the Post Office Investigation Branch, IB, instructed to install a security alarm system to increase the security of the HVP boxes. And in 1961, these security alarm systems were installed in 3 HVP boxes, and the old boxes that did not have a security alarm were kept in the reserve. But the day of the robbery was the most important. On that day, the HVP boxes with security alarms were out of service. Therefore, a reserve box M30204M had to be used, which did not have any security system. This was a very big tip which the robbers got from the insider of Royal Mail. When the train left Glasgow and reached Nain Valley Railway Station, the railway staff connected the HVP box to the second number after the engine. This was the first tip to be given to the robbers, but the second tip was even more important. Normally, HVP boxes had around 300,000 pounds in cash, but since last week was bank holiday weekend, there was around 3 million pounds in cash on the day of the robbery. And this was tip number 2. That is, the coincidence that happened today, it would have happened once in years. 12 times more money is also going, and coincidentally, The HVP box with the security alarm was also broken. But this was not a coincidence for the robbers. They had been planning for this day for months. Anyway, the train left Nain Valley Station with the HVP box. It was late at night, and the train driver, 58-year-old Jack Mills, was taking the train to his destination. There, the gang of robbers were also sitting near the railway track in the bushes. Their planning was absolutely perfect. On August 8, 1963, at around 3 o'clock at night, a group of robbers started making noise with the signal of the Sears crossing. He put a glove in front of him to hide the green light and used a battery to run the red light. And then everyone hid and waited for the train. When the train reached the Sears crossing, the driver was quite surprised to see the red light here, because normally the train is not stopped at this crossing, especially the Royal Mail train. Anyway, Jack Mills braked and stopped the train exactly at the signal. Suddenly there was a silence everywhere. Meanwhile, the assistant driver, also known as the second man, got off the train so that he could contact the signal man with the help of the telephone on the line side. When he picked up the telephone on the signal, he found out that his line was cut, which was part of the plan of the robbers. Now the second man was about to turn back and go towards the engine when the robbers came out of the bushes and they caught him. Some robbers climbed up from both sides of the engine and also tried to catch the driver. When Jack Mills intervened, a robber hit an iron rod on his head and he fainted on the driving seat. The robbers came with full planning. When this chaos was happening in the engine, some team members separated the first two boxes from the rest of the train. Their plan was to take the train away from here. But where to? There was a Bridego bridge about a kilometer away from Sears Crossing, and there was a truck of robbers. They also brought a retired railway driver with them, whose job was to take the train to the Bridego bridge. Whatever happened up to this point was according to the plan. But now the robbers had to face the first problem. The driver who had brought him with him was scared to see the controls of this new engine, because he had never operated this engine. Forced, the robbers tried to bring Jack Mills to his senses and forced him to take the train a kilometer away. Now the engine and two boxes started running again, and he was stopped at the Bridego Bridge a kilometer away. During this time, the staff in the remaining boxes of the train did not know why the train had stopped. After reaching the Bridego Bridge, the robbers broke the door of the HVP box and entered inside and injured 5 staff members and tied them up with ropes and laid them down, and started their operation. A total of 128 sacks were filled with cash in the HVP box. These were notes of £1, £5, and 10 shillings. Their total weight was about 2.5 tons. The train was on the bridge, and a truck was standing on the road below. According to the plan of the dacoits, they had only 15 minutes. So they made a human chain and loaded 120 out of 128 sacks into the truck, one by one. The remaining 8 sacks were left because of the lack of time. Their plan had worked perfectly. But in the end, there was only one mistake, which proved to be the most useful in getting them caught later. On the way, a dacoit told the staff tied in the HVP box not to even try to get up from here for 30 minutes, otherwise they will die. The dacoits had an Austin Lodestar truck on which all the cash was loaded, and there were 2 Land Rovers on which they had put the same number to mislead the witnesses, BMG 757A. After the incident, they all fled from there. After a drive of about 45 minutes, they reached their hideout at 4:30 in the night, which was about 43 kilometers away from the scene of the incident, near the village of Oakley. During this time, they were also listening to the police on VHF radio, which was helping them a lot. Just when they reached their hideout, the police also learned about this robbery. But for now, they were very happy. They had a lot of fun at the hideout, even played a Monopoly game there, and that too with real notes. But their happiness was only a few minutes long. After a while, they found out through the radio that the police were looking for them within a radius of 50 kilometers. The idea of 50 kilometers was given to the police by the statement of the staff, to which the dacoits said half an hour and fled from there. So the police had a good idea that they would be within a radius of 50 kilometers in half an hour. Hearing this, the dacoits got very scared. Now their plan to get out of this hideout, which was on Sunday, they shifted it to Friday. On Thursday, they distributed all the money among themselves. The stolen amount was close to £2.5 million. According to some reports, 1.5 lakh pounds came in each of them, which was a very large amount at that time. That is, 3.9 million pounds came in each of them as of today. The rest of the money they distributed to the helpers who played small roles. Before Friday, they erased their fingerprints from everything in the hideout and gave a person the duty to burn the hideout after they left, so that the police could not find any evidence. He took the money, but fled without burning the hideout. During this time, the police were looking for him in the entire Buckinghamshire area. Helicopters were flying over the city. Police cars were running all over the place, and there was a ruckus on the national media. The police also announced a reward of £10,000 to the person who gave the information. On this, a person living in the neighborhood of the hideout came forward, and he informed the police that there was a lot of commotion here on the morning of August 8th. Without a doubt, the police immediately raided the hideout. It was a leather slate farmhouse that the dacoits had rented 3 months ago. There, the police found a lot of evidence related to this robbery, such as empty sacks, mails, and a truck that was quickly painted yellow. The dacoits erased their fingerprints from here, but there were some fingerprints on that Monopoly which they played with real money. These fingerprints proved to be a big breakthrough in this case, because they already had some criminal record. That's when they matched the fingerprints with the police and Scotland Yard records, and the real criminals were found. In just a few days, the police arrested 14 out of 16 people. Only 2 people were able to escape the police, including a replacement train driver. No one knew his real name, and the other one was the senior security officer of the Royal Mail. This whole plan was made on the pretext of him. No one knows that officer until today, because he never showed his real face, nor did he tell his name. The court called this robbery the biggest robbery of the century, and sentenced almost everyone in this gang to 30 years in prison. After this robbery, Bridego Bridge became famous as Train Robbers Bridge, and to this day, it is his new informal name. Jack Mills, who was a 58-year-old train driver, was never able to do this job again due to a head injury. And after 7 years, he left the world due to shock. I hope you will like and share this video of FNF stories. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next video.